Chapter 1. The Cradle of Civilization, Ancient Palestine 10,000 BC to 1200 BC. A long time ago, before there were kings, countries, or even writing people, lived in the land we now call Palestine. Around 10,000 BC, some of the first humans to settle down lived here. These people were called the Natufians. Instead of moving around to find food, they built small homes, gathered plants, and hunted animals nearby. They may have even baked the first kinds of bread. One of the most amazing places they built was Jericho, around 9000 BC. It's the oldest city in the world. People in Jericho built strong stone walls and a big tower. We don't know exactly why, maybe for protection, or maybe for religious reasons. But it shows they were already doing big things. Later, around 3000 BC, many small cities began to grow across the land. These were the Canaanite city-states, like Gaza and Megiddo. Each one had its own king. They traded with powerful places like Egypt and Mesopotamia, sharing goods, ideas, and writing. The Canaanites even used early forms of writing that would help inspire the alphabet. Sometimes, Egyptian pharaohs ruled over this land. They wanted its wealth and soldiers. Around 1400 BC, local kings sent letters to Egypt asking for help. These are called the Amarna letters. They were written on clay tablets and show that Canaan was full of small wars and politics just like today. People were trying to survive, make deals, and protect their cities. Why this time matters? It's where farming, cities, and trade first began. Jericho is still standing today, the oldest city we know. The Amarna letters show us how people talked to Egypt and tried to hold on to power. This is just the start of the story. Many more kingdoms and empires would come to this land. Want to hear what happened next? Stay tuned. Chapter 2. Kingdoms and Conquests, Israelites, Philistines, and Empires 1200 BC to 539 BC. After the time of the Canaanites, new groups moved into Palestine. One group was the Israelites, who settled in the hill country. Another group, the Philistines, lived along the coast. They often fought each other over land and power. The Israelites first had local leaders called judges, but soon they wanted a king. Around 1000 BC, they chose Saul to be their first king. After him came King David, who made Jerusalem his capital. David was known as a strong and wise leader. His son, King Solomon, built a beautiful temple in Jerusalem and made the kingdom rich through trade. But after Solomon died, things fell apart. The kingdom split into two parts: Israel in the north, Judah in the south. Other empires became stronger. The Assyrians came first. In 722 BC, they destroyed the northern kingdom of Israel and took many people away. These people became known as the lost tribes of Israel. No one knows exactly what happened to them. Later, the Babylonians attacked the southern kingdom. In 586 BC, they destroyed Jerusalem and the temple, and took many people to Babylon. This was called the Babylonian exile. It was a sad and difficult time, but it also became an important part of Jewish history and faith. Why this time matters? The first Israelite kings and the building of the temple in Jerusalem. The fall of kingdoms and how big empires shaped the land. The Babylonian exile, which deeply changed the Jewish people and their stories. More powerful empires are coming next. Want to see what happens when Persians, Greeks, and Romans arrive? Stay tuned for the next chapter. Chapter 3. Under foreign rule, Persians, Greeks, and Hasmoneans 539 BC to 63 BC. After many years in exile, something big happened. In 539 BC, the Persian king Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon. He let the Jewish people return to their land. They came back to Jerusalem and rebuilt the temple, starting a new chapter in their history. But soon, new rulers arrived. In 332 BC, Alexander the Great from Greece took over the land. When he died, his generals split his empire, and Palestine was ruled by different Greek kings. This time is called the Hellenistic period because Greek culture spread everywhere: language, clothes, buildings, and even religion. Some Jewish people liked Greek ways, but others did not. They wanted to keep their traditions. Things got worse when a Greek king, Antiochus IV, tried to force Greek religion on the Jews. He even placed Greek idols in the temple. This led to the Maccabean revolt in 167 BC. A brave family called the Maccabees fought back. After years of struggle, they won and took back the temple. This victory is still remembered today during the holiday of Hanukkah. The Maccabees started a new Jewish kingdom called the Hasmonean dynasty. They ruled the land for about 100 years. But soon, another empire was on its way: Rome. Why this time matters. Cyrus the Great helped the Jewish people return home. Greek influence brought new ideas and new challenges. The Maccabees stood up for their faith and won independence. Next up, Rome takes control, and a new world begins. Ready for the next chapter. Chapter 4. The Roman Era, Rebellion and Destruction, 63 BC to 636 C. In 63 BC, the Romans took control of Palestine. They were powerful and strict rulers. To keep the peace, they chose local kings. One of the most famous was Herod the Great. Herod ruled with Rome's support. He was known for his big building projects. He rebuilt the temple in Jerusalem, built palaces, and created the city of Caesarea. But he was also known for being cruel, and many people feared him. After Herod died, Roman governors ruled the land. Many Jewish people were unhappy with Roman taxes and control. In 66 CE, they started a big fight called the First Jewish Revolt. At first, they had some success, but in 70 CE, the Romans crushed the rebellion and destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. This was a huge loss for the Jewish people. Some rebels kept fighting. A group called the Zealots held out at a place called Masada until 73 CE, when the Romans finally defeated them. Later, in 132 CE, there was another revolt, the Bar Kokhba revolt. Again, the Romans won. They banned Jews from Jerusalem and renamed the land Palestina, trying to erase its Jewish roots. During this time, a new religion began: Christianity. It started with the teachings of Jesus, a Jewish teacher from Nazareth. His followers believed he was the Messiah Savior. After his death, his message spread across the Roman world, and Christianity began to grow. Why this time matters. The temple was destroyed, and Jewish life changed forever. Christianity began and spread from this land to the world. Rome shaped the cities, culture, and future of Palestine. Next chapter, new empires rise, and a new faith appears: Islam and the Arab caliphates are coming. Ready to continue. Chapter 5. The Islamic Golden Age, from Conquest to Crusade, 636-1-91. In 636 CE, Muslim armies took control of Palestine. The leader at the time was Caliph Umar, one of the close followers of the Prophet Muhammad. When Muslims entered Jerusalem, they treated the city with respect. Umar even visited the city peacefully. A few years later, Muslim builders created a beautiful and holy place, the Dome of the Rock. It was built in 691 CE in Jerusalem, on a spot that is sacred to Muslims, Jews, and Christians. Its golden dome is still one of the most famous sights in the city today. For many years, Palestine was part of the Islamic Empire. It became a center of learning, trade, and culture. People of different faiths, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, lived there under Islamic rule, usually in peace. But in 1099, a big change came. European Christian fighters called the Crusaders invaded. They wanted to take control of Jerusalem, which they believed was holy to them. After a bloody battle, they captured the city and started the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem. The Crusaders ruled for almost 100 years. But in 1187, a famous Muslim leader named Saladin took Jerusalem back. He allowed Christian and Jewish people to stay, showing mercy instead of revenge. Fighting between Crusaders and Muslims continued for many years. The final Crusader cities were defeated by 1291, and Muslim rule returned. Why this time matters. Caliph Umar brought Islam to Palestine peacefully. The Dome of the Rock became a symbol of the city. The Crusades brought war but also showed moments of peace and respect between faiths. Coming next, new rulers take control. The Ottomans and the modern age begin. Want to see what happens next? Chapter 6. Mamluks and Ottomans, Palestine in the medieval and early modern era 1 to 911-1799. After the Crusaders were defeated in 1291, a new Muslim power took over the Mamluks. They were strong warriors from Egypt who ruled Palestine for about 250 years. They protected the land, rebuilt cities, and helped trade grow again. Jerusalem remained an important religious city for Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Then, in 1517, another empire came, the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans were based in Turkey, and they ruled Palestine for the next 400 years. Under the Ottomans, cities like Jerusalem, Hebron, and Nablus became centers of life and religion. They repaired holy places and built roads, markets, and fountains. Life was mostly peaceful, but Palestine was a quiet part of the empire, not very rich or powerful. Still, it stayed important because of its history and its holy sites. In the 1700s, things began to change. European countries like France and Britain started showing interest in the Middle East. They wanted more power, trade routes, and control. Travelers, missionaries, and scholars came to Palestine, writing about what they saw. This was the beginning of European colonial interest in the land. Why this time matters. The Mamluks and Ottomans ruled Palestine for hundreds of years. They kept Jerusalem sacred for all religions. Europe started looking at Palestine as part of its growing world power plans. Next up, Napoleon arrives. The world changes fast and modern history begins. Ready for the next episode. Chapter 7. The 19th Century Decline, Zionism, and European Intrigues 1799-1917. In 1799, the French leader Napoleon Bonaparte tried to invade Palestine. He hoped to beat the Ottomans and gain more land, but his plan failed. Still, his invasion made Europe more interested in the region. During the 1800s, the Ottoman Empire was getting weaker. To fix things, they tried to modernize the government, improve schools, and build better roads. These were called the Ottoman reforms, but they couldn't stop the empire from slowly falling apart. At the same time, European countries like Britain, France, and Russia wanted more control in the Middle East. They built churches, schools, and hospitals, and tried to influence local politics. Palestine became a place where many powers were watching and planning. In the late 1800s, a new movement began, Zionism. Many Jewish people in Europe were facing discrimination and violence. Some believed they needed a safe homeland, and they chose Palestine, their ancient home. Starting in the 1880s, small groups of Jewish settlers moved to Palestine. They bought land and built new farming villages. Most of the land was still home to Arabs, both Muslim and Christian, who had lived there for centuries. At first, relations were mostly peaceful, but tensions slowly began to grow. Why this time matters. Napoleon's invasion showed how Europe was becoming more involved in the region. The Ottoman Empire tried to change but was slowly falling apart. Zionism began, and new Jewish communities formed in Palestine. Next chapter, World War I changes everything and a new power takes control. Ready to explore what happens next. Chapter 8. The British Mandate, Broken Promises, and Rising Tensions 1917-1948. In 1917, during World War I, the British took control of Palestine from the Ottomans. That same year, they made a promise called the Balfour Declaration. In it, Britain said they supported the idea of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, but they also said they would protect the rights of the Arab people already living there. After the war, the League of Nations gave Britain official control over Palestine. This period was called the British Mandate, but soon, things became difficult. More Jewish immigrants came to Palestine, escaping violence in Europe and hoping for a new life. Many Arab Palestinians felt worried and angry, fearing they would lose their land and rights. In 1936, the Arabs started a revolt against British rule and Jewish immigration. It lasted until 1939. The British used force to stop it, and many Arabs were arrested or killed. At the same time, Britain also began limiting Jewish immigration, especially during World War II, when Jews were being killed by the Nazis in the Holocaust. After the war, the world was shocked by the horrors of the Holocaust. More Jews wanted to come to Palestine, but Britain couldn't control the situation. Fighting between Jews, Arabs, and the British grew worse. In 1947, the United Nations made a plan to divide Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab. Jerusalem would be international, shared by all. The Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but the Arab leaders rejected it, saying it wasn't fair. Why this time matters. Britain made promises to both Jews and Arabs but couldn't keep them. The Balfour Declaration changed the future of the land. The UN partition plan set the stage for a new conflict and the birth of Israel. Next episode, war breaks out, a new country is born, and the region is changed forever. Want to see what happens next? Chapter 9. The Nakba, Catastrophe and Dispossession 1948-1967. In 1948, the Jewish leaders declared the creation of the State of Israel. For Jewish people, this was a moment of hope after the Holocaust. But for the Palestinian Arabs, it was the start of a great tragedy, called the Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic. Right after Israel was declared, war broke out. Neighboring Arab countries like Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Iraq joined the fight, supporting the Palestinians. The war lasted for months. In the end, Israel won and took even more land than the UN had planned to give them. During the war, around 750,000 Palestinians were forced to leave their homes or fled in fear. Their villages were destroyed or taken over. These people became refugees, living in tents or camps in nearby countries like Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Gaza. Many hoped to return home one day, but they never could. In 1967, another war broke out, the Six-Day War. In just 6 days, Israel captured even more land, including the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and more. Many more Palestinians came under Israeli control, and the occupation began. Why this time matters. Israel was born, but Palestinians lost their homes. The Nakba created a refugee crisis that still exists today. The 1967 war changed everything, leading to more conflict and occupation. Next episode: resistance, uprisings, and peace talks. Palestinians rise to speak for their future. Want to keep going? Chapter 10. Occupation and Resistance 1967-1993. In 1967, Israel fought a short war called the Six-Day War. In just 6 days, Israel took over a lot of land: the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and more. Many Palestinians now lived under Israeli military rule. This was called the occupation. Life under occupation was very hard. There were checkpoints, home demolitions, arrests, and land being taken for Israeli settlements. Many Palestinians wanted freedom and their own country. That's when the PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, became important. The PLO was a group that spoke for the Palestinians. At first, it used violence and attacks to fight for Palestinian rights. Later, it started to look for a peaceful solution. In 1987, Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza started the first Intifada, an Arabic word meaning uprising. It was a mass protest against the occupation people, threw stones, held strikes, and refused to cooperate with Israeli rule. Israel responded with force, and many people were hurt or killed. The world began to pay more attention. After years of violence and pressure, secret peace talks began between Israel and the PLO. In 1993, something big happened: the Oslo Accords. For the first time, Israel and the PLO agreed to talk peacefully. They signed a deal where the Palestinians would get limited control in some areas, and more talks would follow. There was hope that this could lead to peace. Why this time matters. The occupation changed daily life for millions of Palestinians. The Intifada showed the world their struggle. The Oslo Accords brought hope for peace for the first time. Both sides sat down to talk. Next up, peace hopes rise and then collapse. A second Intifada, a blockade, and deeper divisions follow. Want to hear what happens next? Chapter 11. The 21st Century Blockades, Protests, and the Fight for Justice, 1993 present. After the Oslo Accords in the 1990s, many people hoped for peace, but things didn't go as planned. Israel continued to build settlements, Israeli communities on land in the West Bank, which Palestinians hoped would be part of their future country. This made peace harder to reach. In 2000, violence broke out again in what's called the Second Intifada. It lasted for several years, with many deaths on both sides. Trust between Israelis and Palestinians was badly broken. In 2005, Israel removed its settlers from the Gaza Strip, but soon after, it placed a blockade on Gaza, controlling what goes in and out. Life there became very hard. Electricity, clean water, and medicine became limited. Several wars happened between Israel and groups in Gaza, especially Hamas, which now governs Gaza. These wars caused many deaths and destroyed homes, especially in Gaza. Civilians, especially children, suffered the most. In response, a peaceful campaign called the BDS movement began. It stands for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. It asks people and countries around the world to stop supporting Israel's occupation until Palestinians get equal rights and freedom. At the same time, people across the globe started showing solidarity with Palestinians. Through protests, art, music, and social media, they shared stories and demanded justice. Palestinian voices were being heard more than ever. Why this time matters. Gaza remains under blockade, and people live in hard conditions. Peace talks failed, but the fight for justice continues. The world is watching, and more people are standing up for Palestinian rights. What's next? The story isn't over yet. History is still being made. Will there be justice, peace, and freedom for all? Only time will tell. Chapter 12. Epilogue: Palestine's future, between struggle and hope. Today, Palestine's story is still being written. The people continue to live through hard times: military checkpoints, blockades, loss of land, and violence. Many Palestinians still don't have a country of their own. The West Bank is under occupation, Gaza is under blockade, and millions of Palestinians live as refugees in other countries, still hoping to return home. But even in the middle of struggle, there is hope. Young Palestinians are speaking out in schools, online, in protests, and through art. They are telling the world their story and dreaming of freedom, peace, and justice. Some use music and film. Others write or organize peaceful marches. Their message is clear. They want a future with equal rights, dignity, and a place to call home. The world is watching more closely now. Movements for justice and human rights are growing, and many people, young and old, from many countries stand in solidarity with Palestine. But the future is still uncertain. Will there be a peaceful solution? Will Palestinians gain their rights and freedom? That depends on the choices made today by leaders, by nations, and by the people who believe in justice. Why this chapter matters. The struggle for freedom and justice continues. Young voices are rising, full of courage and hope. The future is still open and hope lives on. This is not the end. This is a call to keep learning, listening, and standing up for a better tomorrow.